Okay, there we go. How do I say your last name?
Last name pronounced Daigre. So
Daigre.
like I would say it's day and then like green, but without the en at the end of that.
Okay, because I'm going to do a
So
little intro and
Daigre.
I didn't want to get that wrong. And are you EXP or
No,
are you still the Chimera group?
the Chimera Group. We are EXP, but I'm on a team, a small team called the Chimera Group through
Okay.
EXP.
That is like a family name for me, actually.
Yeah, well, Jordan Kamara is my mentor essentially, and he's all throughout this area with the Camaras, and his parents are lenders over in Banos, Los Banos. I mean, they're everywhere. The what is it? Portuguese.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. My Portuguese is comes by the way of the East Coast, though. Um,
Oh, okay.
but Camaro was my dad's mother's maiden name. So we could be related.
Okay.
Who knows?
Hey, I know, right? Hey, I feel like the Portuguese. It's all everybody.
Right.
It's just like, hey, we're all family. You don't even know.
So the biggest reason that I wanted to talk to you first was because one, we've done a couple deals that
Mhm.
honestly are going in the direction that the majority of my deals are going, which is your way
Okay.
because it's affordable because we can still
Yeah.
find a house.
Well, that, I mean, there's so much opportunity out this way with the amount of homes that are currently on the market. A lot of sellers, have try to, make their house stand out, and they're offering concessions, credits for these buyers to get them in better positions to, have lower mortgage rates, just like our last folks that we dealt with, had a little bit of a credit to, help them with closing costs or, buy downs, rate buy downs, all that good stuff. So, I mean, there's so much opportunity up in the Central Valley, either Stockton, Manteca, Lathrop, Modesto, Ripon, Riverbank. I mean, shoot, the list goes on with how many little cities around here that have so much inventory that I've seen lately. And homes that are just sitting on the market where you can I wouldn't say take advantage of, but have more of an opportunity to get a great deal for yourself or, for the buyer right now. So it's kind of what I've been seeing up this way. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them for coming out here.
So for the Bay Area people, give us a little bit of like a kind of lay of the land of what's what. I mean, we know Stockton, and there's good and bad Stockton. So,
Mhm.
but like Riverbank, I'd never even heard of prior. And now this is the second deal that I've done there. Ripon, I think I've
Mhm.
been to once. Kind of tell us a little bit about the communities. What, like, is one more family oriented or one more
Yeah,
industrial
well,
or,
I always start with the Altamont, right? Because I always think the Altamont's like the gateway to the Central Valley, right?
Mhm.
So people that are coming from the Bay Area, everybody has to go over the Altamont, obviously, unless you take some side roads. But the Altamont's the gateway to the valley, essentially. And you have Tracy, which is well, Mountain House and Tracy, which are the first two communities that you run into when you get done with the Altamont. And what I've noticed is that there's just more bang for your buck, right, in these areas. So what a lot of these things, there's so much growth happening, not just from houses being built, but from infrastructure, right? So first of all, Mountain House is putting Safeways over there. They're putting a lot of shopping, a lot of things that make living out there a lot easier and more accessible to like groceries without being too crowded or anything like that. And then you go a little further, and that's when you hit, my neck of the woods, which is Manteca and Lathrop. So you go to one on 120 or 580 that turns into the 120 and then I-5, and it splits, and then you have Lathrop on like what is it, like the west side or east side, and then Manteca a little bit further. And all these areas have so much growth. I mean, I'm talking. They just approved in River Islands a new Safeway.
okay,
Well, they won't say it's a Safeway, but they say, hey, there's a store coming that has a Starbucks in it.
Safeway.
I'm like, Safeway.
Yeah.
Safeway. So they have Safeway. They have so many restaurants and retail stores coming to that area in River Islands. And so they're really building the infrastructure up, which is allowing a lot more folks to have access to all these amenities that make it, just a little easier. I mean, Manteca alone, they put the Great Wolf Lodge. We have the Bass Pro Shop. We have BLD for the outdoor sports for kids, for adults. You have all this new shopping going in. I mean, right off of they just added a new exit on 120 where now you can have access to car washes, Dutch Bros, Chick-fil-A just got put in over there. There's a Cane's going in. I mean, there's
Oh,
just so much growth.
you have chicken. That now
Chicken,
you can move there.
yeah, exactly. Chicken. I mean, hey, In and Out. If you want some good burgers, In and Out's right off the freeway. So there's just a lot of growth and a lot of things to do out this way. That I find it a little more congested or pricier to do out in the Bay Area. For instance, I have a lot of folks that move from the Bay Area that want to, that come out here and they don't even realize they're surrounded by lakes only about 45 minutes away,
Yep.
where they can do the outdoor sports. Hikes are everywhere. I mean, I always say the Central Valley, they call it the Central Valley for a reason, because you're an hour away pretty much from every cool thing you can do in California. The Bay Area, hour away. You want to go see snow, hour away in Big Bear. You want to go to a lake, there's Valley Springs, which has 3 or 4 lakes you can go visit. I mean, there's so much that you can do in the Central Valley because you're in the center of it. I mean, Sacramento, only an hour away too. You can go watch the Kings play or the A's play now, because the A's aren't in the Bay Area.
I heard about that.
So there's so much that you can do. And I don't know if you've seen my social media. From what I do, I kind of like to be a concierge service to the Central Valley, showing a lot of different small businesses and a lot of folks that have great businesses out here that people moving from the Bay Area wouldn't have known about, because they don't have the large marketing or advertising that a lot of these big box places do. So I mean, I can go on and on about the perks of living in the Central Valley, other than just affordable homes, bigger homes for more bang for your buck for the homes. There's just so much to do, and the people are amazing out this way. And the only thing I would say is the downfall is, I mean, you're gonna have to deal with a little more allergies when the almond blossom happens.
Oh, I'm dying right now. So
Hey,
like,
any wind during the springtime, just give me all the Claritin,
yeah.
all of it. I need it all.
Where is everybody working that lives out there?
Well, you got a lot of people that are commuters,
Okay.
right? So a lot of folks, travel to and from the Bay Area to work. Tesla is a big one, because they have that Fremont plant, and people bus from out this way. I know there's some in Lathrop too. So a lot of people are transferring from like the Fremont one, coming to the Lathrop Tesla. You have a lot of folks doing a lot of industrial or commercial jobs that are, Bay Area based, and they have a great income from the Bay Area, so they want to keep that. But they also want to be able to use that money to the fullest advantage. So come out where you can get that house that's on a corner lot where you have RV parking, where you can reach out your hand out the window of your house and not touch your neighbor's home.
Right.
So a little more space and stuff like that. But I mean, say the people that are working there, a lot more industrial stuff, Tesla, and have that need to go to the Bay Area and come back this way.
What's your price point? Like, I know that's all over the place, depending, but like, kind of like, so, Mark Desiree, she was what, 525, and that was
Five. It was. I think we ended at 510 or five to
okay.
18 or whatnot. It was. Yeah. So it was around that price point. So in each city, I like to think it obviously has its own little market, right?
Right.
So Stockton, you're probably going to be your average price point. Well, the ones that I've dealt with are anywhere from about 400 to 600. That's going to get you a pretty darn big house. In Stockton. Obviously, they have way more affordable options under 400. 3 bed, 2 bath, those kinds of things. And then Manteca and Lathrop, you're going to get a little more pricier. So I'm averaging on those ones about 6 to 700,000 in that area for the Manteca Lathrop area. And then the closer you get to the Bay Area, Tracy and even Mountain House, that's where you're getting into the more luxury, big time homes. As far as Mountain House, I think the average out there is probably around 900,000
Yeah, they're real
for that.
close
And
to a
Tracy's,
million out there.
yeah, exactly. And Tracy is coming. I mean, it's kind of dropped a little bit since the pandemic. Those prices have kind of stabilized a little bit. So I would say they're probably more in the sevens, sevens to 800s, depending on the size of the house and the upgrades that the home has to offer. And one cool thing too, which Lathrop offers, is, well, I mentioned River Islands, but there's a lot of waterfront properties that you have access to,
Okay.
in the Lathrop area. So those houses are probably going to be in your 8 to 900 range too. So that's kind of what I deal in. And Modesto is kind of similar to Stockton. When you get to Modesto, you're looking 4 to 500s. For a single family residence, 3 bed, 2 bath is probably in the that range.
If you were an investor and wanted to pick up something that would cash flow, obviously there's not a whole lot of places left in the Bay that you can do that. Where would you look out there?
I'd probably do Stockton, Modesto.
Okay.
You're going to have a lot of first time home buyers, or well, first time. I would say commuters. I'm sorry, not first time home buyers. So investor wise, you're looking at a lot of commuters, people that are going to commute back and forth from the Bay Area, and you still get a pretty good rental market rate. 3 bed, 2 bath, you're probably looking anywhere from 22 to 2,500.
Okay.
It obviously being in a good condition. I'm talking like turnkey ready type of rentals. You're probably looking 22 to 2,500 in the nicer areas of Stockton, like your Muratas, your 8 Mile Road. Lincoln, you're probably looking, 24 to 27. And then, yeah, so I mean, it's all about finding that right house that you can obviously, at least get a little cash flow, because I know it's tough sometimes for investors.
What are you seeing like time on market, and what are you seeing? Is it pretty much a buyer's market right now out there, or is it kind of
I would say that it's probably evened out now. I know everyone's talking as a seller's market, as a buyer's market. I think it's a lot more even now, and the reason I say that is like if you price the home correctly, like when you're selling a home, you're gonna get the offers, you're gonna get the traction, the traffic, and everything like that. But if you kind of overprice it, I mean, your average days on market in Stockton is probably anywhere from 28 to 35 days,
okay?
unless you, I mean, nail that what I call competitively price your home. If you competitively price it, you're going to get offers within the first 7 days. You know, if it's a little higher because of different things that the seller needs, then you're probably take a little while to get the home into contract or even start to get the traffic that you're looking for. Um, but yeah,
Cool. What else? What else would somebody from the Bay Area know? There's a lot. I really wanted to do this and especially bring you on because I'm having conversations. I'm at the age now where I'm having conversations with friends' kids
yeah,
about
yeah,
buying,
absolutely.
and they're very discouraged, and
Hmm.
they don't think they can do it. And to me, I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted by that. No, we can do it. Like, we'll get you a down
Yeah,
payment, we'll get you closing, we'll do whatever. So,
yeah.
but what would you say to kind of get them to open up and start looking out that way?
Well, I would say you don't know until you know, right? I would say that, hey, reach out to a professional, in the field, because like you said yourself, there's so many options that we can go through. And I work off of a comfort, right? So it's like, hey, understand you think it's tough, but here are some examples where I've had successes with clients. Let's at least sit down, go over your game plan, see if this makes sense for you. Talk to a lender because they're the ones that are going to put the numbers to on paper, so you could see exactly what you'd be paying for. And if you're comfortable with that, we can go ahead and make this work. But there are tons of options for us to either lower your interest rate, get you a home that's maybe sitting on the market for too long for under the list price. And honestly, the I would say the lifestyle. Personally, I mean, if you're a fast paced person, the Bay Area is going to be for yourself, right? If you're looking for more of a relaxed, lifestyle, if you will, I would say the pace of life out here is a little slower, and there's just more, I would say, more space for folks. Whenever I go to the Bay Area, I just feel a little congested. Nothing wrong with the Bay Area. I love it. I grew up there, all that stuff myself. And we made the move out here just because, hey, prices are way too high. There's a lot more amenities out there. And, we can always drive back to the Bay Area if we want to, you know. But yeah, for a person that's looking to move from the Bay Area to get them going, I would say, hey, what exactly is your concern? Like what has you not feeling how to say it, kind of trepid about, like, not feeling confident in making the move out there. Just really kind of hone in on their objections, and then tell them, like, hey, we have some value, we can kind of show you what we can do, and get you in the right spot, so that way you're not buying a house and then ending up house broke.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing,
Exactly. Like,
especially when you're
for instance,
driving.
Jim, what kind of, when you're talking to these new buyers, like your friends' kids, and they're kind of worried about moving out this way, are they just saying like purchase price or affordability? What kind of things are you hearing on the financial side?
I just think it's funny because it's, when we first bought our house, we bought in Discovery Bay, and that was out
Yeah,
there, and my husband's like, I have to drive to work from there. um and so I think that's just it. I mean, for these kids to buy a house in Brentwood, well, Brentwood can't touch. I mean, Brentwood's a million.
yeah,
Discovery Bay 6, 7, 8, Oakley's
hmm
5 and 6, and they just, well, we'll just stay with mom and dad.
yeah,
But I just think that they don't know. It's exactly what you said. They don't know. They don't know what's out
yeah.
there. There's an immediate maybe thought of a Stockton or something, and not enough knowledge. I think the prettiest house I've ever seen in my entire life was off Brookside in Stockton.
Love Brookside area. I tell you what, same here, because I've gone and I've actually golf over in Brookside and stuff like that. And those homes, I mean, are fantastic. They're gorgeous, well made, and everything like that. So, and I get it, because I've even talked to people from the Bay Area where their concerns, like, oh my goodness, I get it, the drive, but it's like, hey, would you rather save up, spend $1 million, get a 3 bed, 1 bath that's maybe 1,200 square feet, on the good end, or would you rather drive an hour, hour and a half, have a 5 bedroom, 3 bath house, same price, and you have 2,500 square feet, and you have backyard? So it's really just weighing your options, like what's more important to you. Is the drive that important where it's going to stop you from owning a home, building equity, and having the space that you deserve, as instead of living with the parents? So I really would try to really just dive in on that objection, be like, okay, so what's the real case? Like, okay, the drive is, I get it, the drive is nightmare, especially you get caught in traffic, totally understand. But do you hate living with mom, or do you hate living with mom and the parents? Do you want your own space? Well, we can find you the right house, and get you a great deal for it,
And you'll
and
enjoy your
show
time on
you
the
all the stuff.
weekends. Plus, you never know. You never know if all of that is building up there, out there, and businesses are moving out there. Then it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be an opportunity to live and work out there at some point. Um,
Of course. And I mean, I go from like, the real estate point of view, but can you imagine all the equity you're going to build once all this infrastructure is finally done and all the people are going to start actually noticing these towns?
yep.
Like, you're going to walk into a bunch of equity at that point. And I hate saying it, even though actually I'm going to rephrase it. I hate the phrase date the rate, marry the house. But let's be honest, if you get in right now before everybody else comes in and then the interest rates do drop, you are able to refinance and get a better rate, and you're going to build equity at the same time.
Well, and everybody who's been waiting for the rate is, we don't even know now. Like, we don't.
No, I always tell folks, they're like, well, what's the interest rate going to be? It's like, well, I wish I had that crystal ball.
Everybody who
But
has a crystal ball has been made a liar this year. So I'm just going to say it right now. We could be in the sixes for the next 10 years. You don't know.
yeah, and I mean, and you obviously keep track of the interest rates, probably every single day of what they're doing. I mean, the last 2.5, 3 weeks have,
Daily, like whack a mole.
exactly. And that, I feel like that's never really, kind of happened where it's like fluctuating or things are changing on a daily basis with the interest rates. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a weird dynamic where it's like, hey, get in now. Oh, all right, interest rates kind of went up a little bit, but we could still get you, get you a better deal. Like I always say, it's like just opportunity out there, being able to find the right home for you, and then also having the agent to negotiate on your behalf to get these credits from the seller, or to get the price lower. It's all about communication, when it comes to those sorts of things. And I think that's where a lot of the good agents kind of separate themselves, is like, hey, we know what my client needs, this is what we can do, and I'm going to be a bulldog for you to get that.
And maybe you can speak on too, because we speak on it till we're blue in the face, but it's coming from us. So people in one ear and out the other. Why is it so important that you give me all your documents? Why is it so important that you let me do a full approval before you even look? From the real estate agent's point of view.
Well, I always tell them, especially when they're going, hey, why do I have to send in all my documents? I was like, okay, well, let's just say you only send partial. She gives you a pre-qualification, and then we're in contract on a house. You send in the additional documents, and then it shows, hey, we actually can't afford this, or hey, we actually can't be approved for this amount. And now you have to cancel a contract, lower your purchase price, and look in homes in that area. That's going to be very discouraging. It's going to make you almost not even want to shop for a home. So I always tell them, like, hey, get the full pre-approval. The good thing about it is once you do it, you don't have to send it again. If you don't end up buying a house every, what is it, 6 months you have to send updated documents, or 3 months?
90 days.
90 days. So
Yeah.
3 months. Every 3 months you have to send updated documents. I would say get it all done right then and there. Don't worry about it, because it's not one of those things like, hey, you have 10 days to find a house after you get a fully pre-approved, letter. So I would say it's like, hey, get it done, that way you don't have to worry about it. And then in that way, and I mean, I always tell folks, pre-approval, get that done anyways. I won't show you a house unless you have a pre-approval.
Right.
Because let's say, I like, in the same sense, let's say I walk in this house, you absolutely fall in love with it, it's like, I must have this home. Then we go to a lender, give them all the documents, and then come to find out that, hey, you're not approved for that house, or pre-approved up to the purchase price on that home. It's us being realtors, we have to protect our clients, and even protecting them from themselves, if you will. Like, hey, like I've been there with clients who've seen a house, want it, and can't get it.
Or
It's
paid for the
heartbreaking.
appraisal, paid for the inspection, paid for,
Yep.
and yeah.
And then now you don't have the purchasing power you once thought you had, because you just didn't decide to send over an additional document which would have cleared all that up. you know. So that's kind of what I would say to them, is like, why do I got to send all the documents, why do I got to do this? Well, I mean, do you want to get into contract in a home, pay all the appraisals and inspections, and then find out you can't afford it or you're not pre-approved for it? That would be the worst case. You know, and that would, I would not be doing my job as your realtor if I put you in that situation. You know, so that's kind of how I approach that.
And I think that a lot of people have um, trepidation or are concerned about at what point to reach out to you guys. There's, the Zillows and the Redfin shoppers and the homes.com. Like, at what point do you want to hear from them? They feel like they don't want to waste our time. I feel like I don't care if it's 3 years from now. Let's start talking now. Let's put together a plan. But
Mhm.
how do you look at it as well?
Well, once I start getting like a real motivation, like from somebody that they're really like interested in looking at home, I always bring them in for what's called my buyer's consultation, or, some people like to name it a strategy session or anything like that. I just like to call it a buyer's consultation, where I really find out your motivations, what you're looking for, and go over the whole home buying process from A to Z. So that way they know that I'm doing the heavy lifting for them and really servicing them, um, to really reach their goal, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's, I'm always bringing them in. So anytime I get a little bit of motivation, we're like, hey, we've looked at homes for 3 months online, or hey, I've been really interested. I just don't know like what the next steps are. So say, hey, reach out to me anytime. Even if you have a question, reach out to me. I'm an open book, because I like to educate and coach my buyers. So that way they, even if they don't use me, at least they know how the process works. So that way they don't get, put in a bad situation when they do actually, kind of go and, actually kick the tires on buying a home. So yeah, I try to do it first things before I even have pass them on to a lender, before I, kind of go over that, because I also, well, what I do a lot of times, Jen, is I like to do my own vetting system, if you will. So I ask them the questions like, okay, how much are you paying, for rent right now? All right, well, it's this amount. Okay, well, how much are you comfortable paying?
Yep.
Okay, so it's this amount. Well, then, from my experience, that would put you in around this price range. Let's make sure we talk to a lender to make sure that's the case, because it sounds like you're a good candidate, or you're in a good position, to make a home purchase.
Yep.
Because a lot of the times, you'll get somebody, they say excited, you pass them on to the lender, and then the lender finds out it's like, oh, well, they're only comfortable paying,
1650
eighteen
a month.
hundred, yeah, $1,800 a month. It was like, well, that's, I should have asked that question before I even sent them to you, you know? So yeah, I would say any inkling like feeling of like, hey, you're looking to buy a home, reach out to a professional. You can call me anytime. I love doing buyers consultations, because if they're ready, then great, let's get you to a lender. If they're not ready, at least I can put them on the right path to get ready and at least understand what it takes to buy a home.
Yeah. Most
Right.
people
So
don't
yeah,
wake up and go, I'm going to go buy a house today.
yeah, I mean, exactly, and I mean, I do it all. Like I cold call, so I have leads that, Google pay per clicks, if you will, that come to my website. So I call and reach out to folks to see if they're in a position. But yeah, anytime somebody has like even a question, that I feel like people are too like nervous to reach out to an agent, even if it's a question, or a lender's like, hey, just a small question. It's like, no, ask me. You don't know until you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or my mom's favorite saying is, well, a closed mouth don't get fed. So how am I going to know unless you tell me? Right?
And talk a little bit about how important it is, because I'm assuming there's a lot of new construction out by you, a lot of new
Mhm,
subdivisions.
mhm.
Explain why it's so important that they take you with them the first time they go in.
Well, first things first, the agent that's working at the new builds, who are they employed by?
The builder.
The new build, right? So do you think that they're going to put you in the best position buying the new build, or you think they're going to put the new build in the best position when buying the new build? I would say they're probably going to put their employer in position. So I would recommend going with an agent just to kind of make sure everything's legit. Obviously there's not a lot of hands-on process through the new build like contract, but we're also here to make sure we support you and don't get into something that's, more one-sided for somebody else.
Yep.
For instance, I actually took a buyer to a new build earlier, or on Friday of last week, and she didn't think she was able, you could buy a new build, paying cash, right? So I was like, oh no, you absolutely can. So I took her to a new build, and she's like, man, these folks are getting $30,000 off if they use financing. Should I just do financing? So what do? I was like, I asked the manager, I was like, hey, if my client comes in here paying cash, you're giving a $30,000 seller credit if they use your lender. Shouldn't my buyer that's, paying cash get $30,000 off as well?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you go in and just think, hey, this is what they offer and that's the only thing they can do. No, especially right now, they have more new builds coming and that are already fixed and ready to be sold and are sitting on the market. Those new builders don't want the home to sit on the market. They want it to be filled.
Right.
A lot more opportunity, when it comes to that. We can negotiate. It's not just a one set, this is what it's set at. So I would say taking an agent's vital, and especially towards the end of closing. Let's say you're going to do a final walkthrough, and you notice some things are off. Hey, well, that's where I step in and say, hey, this was said in the original contract. This is what they wanted, and this is what they're paying for. We would like it in that fashion, and have them do the repairs before the home, they move into the home. So there's a lot of things that kind of go on with a new build that I think it's beneficial to bring your own agent, just so you don't, well, what's this phrase? Get caught with your pants down,
I remember when we bought our first house, and you would think I would have known, but we didn't use an agent, and they didn't disclose ridiculous assessments, like
See?
ridiculous assessments, and too late down the road when we got that supplemental tax bill.
Mm-hmm. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Yeah, and I mean, it happened. It happens here in River Islands as well. Like for instance, you're going through it, you're like, man, this sounds great, and the next thing you know, River Islands has a 1.25 Mello-Roos tax. These are homes that are $900,000. That's a pretty penny when it comes back around. It's one of those little details. You're like, hey, I didn't know about this. Well, an agent would have caught that, at least disclosed it like to you, and like, hey, so I know you're buying the house of this, but this tax is also involved with this property. You know, or a bond or an assessment or whatnot, like you mentioned. So yeah, I feel you. It's one of those things where you think you can go in new build and do it all yourself, but it's good to have someone on your side.
Absolutely. And we're going to drop, of course, all of your contact information in, but give yourself a plug. 2 seconds. I will give you a plug. We've done 2 deals together. You are a bulldog. Like, you fight for your client. I've been super impressed.
Thank you, Jen.
So you get that from me, but you've got a commercial. Go ahead and give yourself a
Well,
plug.
I will definitely do that, but I also want to give you some good commercialing too, Jen, because both deals that we've done have been flawless. We've gotten closed in time or even before time, and both of our clients have been very happy with your customer service. So I can't complain. I know, like I mentioned, communication is vital when it comes to doing selling a home or buying a home, and that means it's communication with you and our client all at the same time has been flawless. So everybody's always on the same page. So Jen, I can't thank you enough to making my job a little easier as well.
You're welcome.
But yes, for my own plug, if you will, mine is Travis Daigre. I am a realtor in the Central Valley, but I've gone as far as Merced and Sacramento to help families buy or sell real estate. I've helped over 80 families since I've gotten into the business in 2021, and I'm a 4-time, actually about to be a 5-time Masters Award winner, which just means you close a certain amount of volume and a certain amount of deals a year. So I am in this business full time, and one of the things that I take pride in my business, like I mentioned, is communication, customer service, and always putting my client first, no matter what. So even if a deal, is like, oh, we're about to close and the client's not happy, I will cancel and find them a better deal. And then obviously you can follow all my social media. It's Travis Daigre, the realtor. I like to think I'm pretty funny when I do my videos and informative at the same time. So I hope that everybody seeing this gives me a follow and also, kind of enjoys that information / goofiness that I offer. But yes, I am a bulldog as well, and I fight like hell for my clients to get what they want and get what they deserve and make sure they're comfortable and enjoy and love the new house that they're going to be purchasing.
Awesome. And thank you for being the first victim.
Of course, hey, Jan, I love this. This is awesome. I enjoy doing this, chit chatting about real estate. Anything where I can do to help a person out or help you out is my goal. So yeah, and that also goes for agents. One thing that I love doing is I was a new agent at one point in time and I didn't know what the hell was happening. So I surrounded myself with a great mentor that showed me the ins and outs of the business. I also like doing that for new agents or even agents who are stuck in a rut to potentially, hey, like, let's find out so that way you can get back to closing deals and being successful. Because, everybody, when I got in, there was this like weird stigma that real estate agents are only for themselves. They don't want to help people. They never want to tell their secrets. It's like, no, there's so much out to share and everybody can eat that I love getting new agents or even seasoned agents back in, production and making money for their families so that way they can have the life that they've envisioned.
I definitely think that that culture has shifted um,
I
very
Yeah.
recently because I've been doing this for a minute, and it did very much used to be that way. But the culture has definitely shifted. I see it a lot, especially with the XP. I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of like the bricks that that is built on, and it's exciting and it's nice to see everybody sharing. Look, there's enough for everybody.
It is.
I'm a
And
fit for someone, but I'm not a fit for other.
exactly. And I always say it's like even when we're in contract, like the listing agent button heads with the buyer's agent, just like no, teamwork makes the dream work. We both have people to make happy,
Yep,
so let's work together to make both those people happy. So it's all about teamwork and working together and getting these things done. Because hey, we want to make our clients happy, we want to get paid, and that's the way to do it. Help each other out. You know,
very
so
cool.
absolutely, Jen.
All right, my friend. Well, the first one is in the can.
Woo!
I will get it edited and I will get it over to you. And if you ever want to jump on again and talk about something, let me know because I'm going
Oh,
to try to do this
hey, I'm
live.
all in. Anytime you need a pop in guest or someone to talk about anything, I'm always here to do that. I always I pride myself in continuing to learn and get better at my craft, and talking with another person who's very full time in their craft and very good at it. It only makes me better. So chatting with you, Jen, is fantastic. So I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Well, thank
All
you.
right,
I'll talk to you later.
absolutely. Yep. Talk to you later, Jen. Have a good one. Okay.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.